Okay, you look to be alive again. Cool, cool. So let us. Hmm. Is that all the quality I get? Oh, it's defaulted to lower quality. Let's see here. Share. Copy that link. Actually, I have to copy that link over here. But this can be closed down now. Share. Copy link. Paste that. Okay. So we sent that into the chat. We'll see if anyone pops in. Okay. So we'll see if anyone shows up. Can I make this bigger? No. Okay. Well, why isn't Lightroom showing the right thing? Okay, OBS display capture. Edit window capture. Existing. It's Lightroom. I guess we can't do that. So let's switch it to display capture. Let's delete, delete. Okay. So that should update to show the right thing now. Yeah. Okay, cool, cool. Got one viewer. Who's gone? It looks like. Oh well. Okay. So things should be all set up now. And should be ready to begin again. Okay, so have we done anything to this photo? Doesn't look like it. Not a whole lot needs to be done. I'll probably bring out the colors a little bit. So increase that vibrancy. And we'll increase that saturation. And we'll cool it off a little bit. So now I got good color on the shirt, good color on the suit. That blue looked really kind of muted. Now it's really popping out now. Then we will see, bump the exposure up just a tad, maybe some highlights, get that kind of white popping a little bit better. Then we'll bring out the blacks a little bit. That'll just give us more detail in like the black fur back here and around the eyes. Detail is always good. So that's how the shot looked originally, and now that's how the shot is. Pretty nice little improvement on it. Looks like we have one person viewing at the moment. Appreciate that view. So again, lighting, relatively good. What I might do is just a little bit of noise reduction. Just kind of soften that background. Yeah. And we'll move on. No. What are you doing, Lightroom? I swear Lightroom is drunk half the time. So now we're going to move on to this photo. Again, what I notice is it's a little dark, and we're lacking some details in the blacks. And colors are a little flat. All easy fixes. So I'm going to start by bumping exposure just a little bit so that I can increase the blacks. Okay, well, we got 2 viewers, so We are going to increase vibrancy, and again, you can see how that really makes that blue pop. And that's what we're trying to do. Blue's really popping, and then we're going to cool it off just a little bit to pull out that yellow. Make sure that yellow just goes away. And that's a shot. So here was the before, here's the now. Really makes that blue stand out and look super vibrant. And that's what I was trying to achieve. And on to the next shot. Again, it'll just be kind of working on bringing out the blacks and then adding a little bit more color. Oh, it's a little too much. Saturation, and then cooling it off. Boom. Some of these shots are pretty easy to edit just because it's basically all you're doing is giving it some detail and giving it color. Giving it color. And see, it's a little too yellow, so we'll back off the yellow tint. But we still want to make sure that we're maintaining the white colors being white. We don't want them to be blue. Blue is not a great color to have when it's supposed to be white. We're going to move on. See, that shot's basically the same. Yeah, except this one, the guy is looking forwards. I'm going to say no to that shot. And then, let's see, now we're on to here. And we got to be careful because when we're editing, we got this huge light back here. I might be able to lower that by killing the highlights a little bit. So we killed the highlights, so that's not as harsh in our eyes. And if I increase the blacks, bring in some vibrancy, some saturation, and then cool it down, yeah, I'll get this. And then that was the original, this is now. See that blue, it's just such a nice vibrant blue when you really start to edit it, and you can see the individual sparkle that fur has. It's really nice. And then once again, we're gonna bring up the blacks. Just gets us this detail that's in this fur. So in the original seats, there's a little bit of detail there, just not a whole lot. So by bringing up the blacks, we get the more individual actual furs showing up, which is nice. So again, vibrancy to bring out the blue, saturation to bring out all the other colors, and then cool it down to remove the yellow. And here's what I mean. See, now up here looks perfect, but all this white is starting to look a little bit blue. So we're actually going to back off the temperature just a little bit. I think right there would be good. So the ceiling still looks yellow, but that's because they used yellow lights in here, which just causes all sorts of problems. But compare it to the original, we got so much, everything just looks gray, especially in this background. And now it's just full of color. So now we're on to our group shots. Again, things are very yellow there in the back. So we need to make sure we're working on not overdoing that. And everyone's wearing like black shirts for some reason. So they kind of all look like they're wearing voids. So I'll see if I can fix that. Ooh. I don't know if I can. So we will get some color going. Cool it down. And then saturation increase. Cool it down a little bit more. So now we got the red in that hair looking good. This shoe was a really vibrant color, so that's standing out. Originally, that's how that shoe looked. And now, it's there. I might do a little bit of noise reduction, just to try and smooth things out a little bit. But yeah, I think that shot looks good. Before, after, before, after. Now we got Krashik's bowling here. Um, Again, gotta boost the blacks here. Try and bring out any detail that is this clothing. Might have to lower contrast. There we go. We got a little bit of detail going on now. You could actually see the shorts. Looked black originally, but now they're a gray color. But everything's looking kind of muted. So now we're going to want to boost vibrancy, and then boost saturation, and then cool it down a little bit. And then compared to the original, we got a lot of the harshness out of it and a lot of detail. So in the original, if you zoom in, you can see that there was writing on the shirt, but you can't. Oh, hey, Platt, welcome in. But now you got a lot more of this, just little details that came out that weren't in the original shot. Here, we might not have to do as much recovery. I still want to increase the blacks here and then lower contrast just a little bit. It's a little bit more dull than I like shots, but I want the details over everything. So again here, on our original shot, hard to make out individual details. There's a lot of detail that just comes back from the editing. It might be my mic too quiet because there's a lot of fan noise I'm trying to leave out. Is that better? Platt's gone. Okay, so I boosted the mic just a little bit. So that's a pretty good shot. The only thing I'm going to say, the pins look a little blue, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. So now we got to do the face. So I got to bump up exposure a little bit. And I'm going to contrast up. Highlights, we're going to increase them a little bit, makes that background seem really nice and bright. Welcome in, whoever showed up. Then shadows, we will increase that. That will even out the lighting on the face. And then whites, kind of just, again, making that background a little bit nicer. And then blacks, we're balancing that lighting out. And then I want to make sure that that hat is like just super vibrant in color. And then saturation, and then temp it down. Ooh. So we're way up on the vibrancy here. Actually, it looks like saturation we're too far up on. Because here's what happens. We have, this hat is now casting colors onto him, and we can kind of take it out a little bit by messing with tint. So tint is our so tint is our green purple balance, and temp is our orange blue balance, and we can kind of mess around with those to get better shots. So that one I think is pretty good. I do not know who Pixie Perfect is. So, yeah. Is my mic better though, Platt? So now we're on to here. And again, looks like we got a lot of noise in there because again, I was having to shoot at a pretty high ISO. So we can just kind of slide that over. So when we're in here, it's a little less noticeable. I'm going to bring the highlights down because that back of that bowling alley is super bright. So we are then going to boost the shadows because I want that detail in that clothing. Again, we need the highlights to go down again. So you gotta remember, looks like he's wearing complete black. Now, we even have some folds in the clothing come out. Of course, when you zoom in, it's just noise. But we can fix that with some noise reduction again. So now when we zoom in, it's a lot less noise. So, we are then going to increase vibrancy here. Get a real nice, good color on everything. A little bit of saturation, and then cool it off. So our before and our after. Kinda honestly looks like it was shot on film, which is a cool, nice little effect. The only thing I'm lacking is we were lacking detail on the boards due to the noise reduction, I believe. So I think if I back that off, we'll get... No, okay. So, still looks like shot on film. Shooting on film is fun. But there's a lot of, like, we can see the detail inside here now on the shot. So that's cool. So, I like that shot. We're going to move on to the next one. Which, again, these are now action shots of this person bowling. So, again, I'm going to drop those highlights and boost the shadows. Not that much. I might have to boost some blacks, too. Okay, so exposure. There you go. Perfect shot. 100%. So we're going to have it up just a little bit. And increase some vibrancy. Some saturation. Cool off the shot. Again, not super happy with these shots. This one in particular. If I had my way, I wish I could be out in front. And it would have been better, but I didn't have bowling shoes on, so I didn't want to step up onto the wood. So, now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to lower the highlights because that background is just the background is just super bright. And we're going to want to get the shadows out here. Basically lights up the foreground. And blacks. Pull out some detail. So we got the detail in the shirt now. That's good. Then we are going to hide these notifications that are annoying me. So, I'm going to increase vibrancy, increase saturation, lower the temp. Lowering the temp just basically lets us cancel out some of that orange. So you went from that to that. Look at that, we got super nice color on this 12 pounder. We got detail in the shirt. It just looks nice now. I'm going to do a little bit of noise reduction because noise is a little bit noticeable. Especially in anything that's black. So, moving on. We got this cool possum suit. I didn't catch the suitor's name. But it was a cool suit. So again, I think I'm going to bring the highlights down just a little bit and increase the blacks. So really, this green was a really nice green, so I want to make sure that is vibrant. Vibrant. Blew out the TVs. And if we just lower the temperature, we still get the super nice green. Look at it. So there's the original. It's kind of a mute green. Now, it looks a lot nicer. We're still having a slight problem with these TVs being a little too blue. Now, might have to warm up a little bit. No. Oh, that definitely is not the answer. I'm blue dabba dee dabba da. I might just have to keep them a little blue, because I like the rest of the shot. And then a little bit of noise reduction. So now we're going to continue on to this shot. Again, we can see our highlights are super bright. So we're going to bring the highlights down. And we're going to want to increase the shadows to get that clothing detail out of there. Whites we're going to bring down just a little bit. Increase vibrancy. Increase saturation. Lower the temp a little bit. And we get this nice shot. See, everything was super gray originally, and now we got color. Let's see, do I want this shot? Let's see what I can do with it. I might be able to fix it. So, we're going to drop the exposure a little bit, drop the highlights, increase the shadows, increase the blacks, vibrancy, saturation, and drop the color. Drop the temperature. That might be all I can do for dropping temperature. So let's look at the original. The whites were blown out and had no detail. Now they have detail. This you couldn't even tell was green up there. You couldn't really see where the suit ended and the ceiling began. Now you can. For this shot, I would have preferred the edge of the frame to be more like right here and got more in front, but I was not at a good angle. So now we're going to move on to this shot. I like this shot because you got everyone talking. It's really nice. Toot off in the background. So again, I'm going to actually want to increase highlights. Decrease them actually. Increase the shadows. I want to bring more of that lighting to the people here at the front. I'm going to reduce that noise so it's not visible, especially on this like gray. Then I'm going to, let's see here, clarity. What is that going to do? I might do a little bit of clarity. No, I do not like the clarity. Reset that. And then we're going to vibrancy. A little bit of saturation. And temp down ever so slightly. Lighting was just poor. I did not have good lighting for this whole shot. Everything seems slightly out of focus. Looks like the focus was back focused. Can't really tell with noise reduction on. Yeah, it looks like the majority of it was back focused. Which, a little disappointing, but you still set the atmosphere. It's still an enjoyable photo, even if everything isn't completely sharp. So again, first thing we're going to do, noise is pretty noticeable. So I'm going to increase that reduction. And looks like we're missing a lot of our shadows. Increase shadows just enough to get some detail. Not enough where I completely ruin the shot. So if I increase this all the way, there's so much noise of different colors going on right there. So you want just enough, because originally it was hard to tell that there was even a hood right here. So we're going to set it to the original. I mean, set it away from original. And honestly, that might have been all we need to do other than color. Increase vibrancy, increase saturation, cool off the shot. So that's much better. Especially Toot in the background there. Like, couldn't even, looked like two different fur colors. Still does, but it looks a lot nicer. Looks like it's an actual shadow and not just two different colors. Okay, let me see if there's anything going on in chat. No, oh, I lost my YouTube. Come back. There you are. Average watch time of 1:12. Nice. I got one like. Wonder who liked it. Okay. So here, once again, we're going to want to work on pulling down the highlights. Once we get the highlights down, we can work on the shadows. Which we don't honestly have to do a whole lot with. And I just throw some color on there and see what happens. Let's look here. Original, this, original, this. Looks nice. There's not a whole lot I gotta do to this shot. It's pretty good just off the bat. I just made the lighting look a little bit nicer. I mainly was not good at focusing this shot. Probably not the best. We spiked up 2 viewers. Nice. So we got the absolute just power stance going on right here from Phi. So again, I want to bring the highlights down, bring up the shadows just a little bit. A little bit more vibrant color on there. A little bit more saturation and temp it down a little bit. And this, the shirt's no longer blown out. So you see on this original, there's these bright areas that are ruining our detail. So by hiding, by doing these changes we did, we fixed a lot of that. So then we're going to do noise reduction, which might soften the image a little too much. Let me back that down. Okay. I've changed my mind on that shot. This is a nice shot. I like this one. So we can fix this by bumping up exposure just a little bit, a little less than a stop. And increase contrast, but also increase the shadows. Lower the highlights because that's there in the back just a little bit. Actually, let's see. Can I get that back kind of a glowing effect? I'll make that fur just super vibrant. Give it a little bit of good saturation. And then we'll temp it down to remove that background. And we still have white here. We got white in the eye. So original, now. That might be a little too vibrant. Let me actually back that off just a little. No, not vibrancy, saturation. There we go. I like that. It's a good shot. And we got Polaroids, bowls. So again, here we're gonna want to remove a lot of that highlight because those lanes are bright. Contrast, we'll want to increase that. along with shadows to try and get some pants details. Okay, so we got a little bit of detail in the pants. I wish I could get a little bit more, but limitations of what I have, I guess. The thing is, I don't want to lose too much detail to make the shot look flat. Increase saturation, cool it off a little bit. So originally the shot, you see the reflection back here? With editing, a lot more of that reflection comes out. Pretty cool little thing, eh? And everything is just a lot more vibrant, better colored. So probably do something similar over here. So we're going to drop the highlights, increase the shadows, contrast up just a little bit. It's cool, I got it mere seconds, not even seconds, milliseconds before it hit the ground. Get some vibrancy in there. Get a little that in there. Mess with the temperature a little bit. A little too blue. There we go. You gotta remember, you can't make it too blue because it was actually in a yellow shooting environment. That looks good. Maybe, do I need any noise reduction? Maybe just ever so slight noise reduction. There we go. So, now we are on to another Polaroid shot. Got a lot of Polaroid. So we're going to bring those highlights up actually a little bit, even though we're losing a little bit of detail. We'll recover that when we do the shadows. So now we have the folds on the arm showing. Blacks. Yeah, that should be good. And then we can do vibrancy. Polaroid has this really nice blue that I really like. Bring that temp down ever so slightly. That's the problem once you get into the editing. The ceilings sometimes get annoying to deal with. Yeah, let's see. Original. Sometimes when you're editing, you want to go back to the original. Just see what you've done and if there was anything that you lost going. Like I say, highlights are a little bright now. So I want to lower them. Because out here it's like super bright. And you can lower that by messing with the whites too. That looks good. The original, this one. Original, this one. Might do just a hair of noise reduction. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kanye. Very cool. Okay. So that's the noise reduction. The only problem with that is I lost that detail that I was wanting in the hands. Let's increase it ever so slightly till we lose. I'm just going to have it off because then I just lose the pause. Maybe if I offset it with a little bit of sharpening. No, there's really not much. Okay. Well, to continue on. Okay, so now we're on to another shot. Lighting here, a little dull, but a little bit better. Excuse me. So boost up brightness just a little bit. A little bit on the highlights. A little bit on the shadows. Not that much. We went just enough where we're getting detail in this fur, but not so much that noise is super apparent. You can see by what we've done, it's pretty much messed up contrast, so we'll want to increase the contrast, because if we don't, we get a super flat shot. Highlights needs to come down. Then we will do vibrancy and saturation. It's already a really cool shot, but we can make it cooler. Actually, no, we can't. That might be the best we can do. Very yellow. A lot of hidden yellow in there. Might just bring that saturation down just a little bit. Okay. Yeah, Polaroid, whenever they go to bowl, they just kind of drop their ball. Some M&M's here I'm going to enjoy real quick while we have no viewers. So we're going to have the highlights up a little bit. Try and tell if that shirt's too blue. I feel like it is. There it goes. Why do you keep doing that, Lightroom? So here we're going to increase contrast a little bit, increase highlights, increase shadows, make it look well lit. You boost the blacks just a little bit. And we got a little bit of noise going on, so we're going to do some noise reduction real quick. And then we got some vibrancy we can increase. Some saturation. And then temp it. Nah, it's a little too cold. There we go. That's fairly neutral kind of color. The key is to try and find the separation of people. We want shirts to stand out, we want hats to stand out, fursuits to stand out, stuff like that. Let's say no to that one. Let's say no to this shot, but say yes to this shot and fix that up. So one, we want to bring up exposure, but that background is super bright. I'm going to bring out the blacks. They're both wearing dark shirts. A little bit of vibrancy, a little bit of saturation. Cool everything off. So now we'll look here. The original, super dark and harsh. This version, very natural looking. I'm going to see what noise reduction does to this shot. Might make it a little too soft. Yeah, I think it's a good shot. So here we're going to want to exposure up, highlight down. And then shadows, maybe ever so slightly to get a little bit of fur detail out. Then increase the vibrancy. Increase the saturation. Cool things down just a little bit. And we're already off to a better start. Usually how I like to do fursuits is I like to make them look kind of glowing almost. There's something whimsical. The only problem I'm noticing is temperature. Those pens are a little blue. Let's see here. Let's see here. I like 3100. Get the brush tool out. Let's see. Can I temperature bring that up? Okay, come on, how do you work? That, I can control just that little section of the photo. Orange it up. I can duplicate. And then I want to duplicate you. Move over here. And then wherever we move this, it gets less blue. So we'll put that over here. And just kind of mess that a little bit. Yeah, so a little first time we've had to do little micro edits, but it fixed the shot and it looks nice now. I like the shot. It's cool. It's a little tilted. Can I fix the tilt? There we go. Tilt is a little fixed. And then we want to bring up the highlights. The shadows a little bit, but then kill. Oh no, that's highlights. I wanted to actually bring up shadows. Boom. Then we will do a little bit of noise reduction. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. Again, bring out that vibrancy. Bring out that saturation. Cool things down ever so slightly. Brush. Put a brush right there. Temperature. Want to make it a little less blue. Okay. It's a little less blue. Maybe. Let's see if we reset that back to 0. Yeah, it makes it a little less blue. Not too much though. Go back to the original. So we brought out detail in that paw, which is good. So, I like that shot. Good shot. I'm gonna say no to this one. It's not right. I did the first round of selection yesterday, finding the shots that I thought would look good. Now we're on to the part where we're actually trying to finalize which shots we want. So again, I'm a little crooked, so I'm going to rotate it. And I can see that this is a little bit better of a shot to have. A little bit more straight, unlike me. So, now we want to bring up the shadows a little bit. Bring out the blacks a little bit. Vibrancy. Saturation. Cool things down a little bit. And then go over here to brushes. Put a brush here. Duplicate. Here. Duplicate. Here. Duplicate. Here. Duplicate. Over here. Duplicate. Over here. And then we can just heal them up. I don't know what that did. The one time I want you to do the thing, you don't. Because I have too many of them or something? Only seeing one get affected. Let me just reset everything. Delete. 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 So here's my first one. Let's set it right over here, where it's affecting all these pins. There we go. I can boost the exposure, or underexpose it. Boost it. Now if we copy that one, duplicate that one, move it over here. Okay, so we can't quite get them all how I want them to be, which is annoying. I'll just have to warm the image up a little bit. one more all the way down here. Try 3100. Something like that. Oh, no, that's where we started. I think that is a good spot to be at. Okay. Haven't had any viewers in a while. So then we're going to move over to some other shots where I had pins in focus, but not the bowler. Straighten up an image here. Still a really nice shot. So here, color isn't really the name of the game. It's all about getting more detail in. I want to make sure I can get the arrows to show up. Let's see here, shadows. Boost them a little bit to get some detail in the clothing, maybe. Maybe not shadows, maybe just the blacks. Super overly dramatic shot. Not quite what we want. We do want a lot of detail though. You just increase vibrancy just enough compared to the original. So we're going for a more dramatic shot because we want the focus to be on the bowler and the pins. Saturation, and then just a hair of that. And I do want to boost the shadows because there's like no clothing detail. There we go. Let's say no to that one. No to that one. This one I can work with. This one looks cool. Haven't had viewers in a while. Bump exposure, bump contrast, bump highlights, shadows. We want up a little bit. Vibrancy, let's get that to be a pretty vibrant shot. Cool it down just enough. Really didn't do much other than make it a slightly brighter shot. I'm actually going to lower the highlights just a little bit. I just kind of fixed the color. Not honestly much I had to do with the shot. I liked it. You don't always have to do tons of editing to every shot you make. Okay. Probably about, I don't know, little under halfway done. Like I said, a lot of these shots I'll probably delete. So like I'll keep this one. Let's get rid of that one. That one. That one. And that one. This is cool because you got that follow through and the ball is up in the air. It's a little crooked, so let us fix that. Then we will work on probably just color. Maybe not so far up on saturation. But yeah, I pretty much like that shot just how it was. Yeah, no. So, bump the highlights ever so slightly. Shadows. See, it looked super dull. Now we got some color coming out. Some more detail. We'll see if we can boost shadows, some blacks just a little bit more. Maybe we get a little bit more detail out of that. Original now. Original now. We got shots like this, which is a cool shot. Got the plane. We really need to make sure we're working on getting that suit detail in there. I might ever so slightly crop this guy out of the shot. His mouth, at least. There we go. His beard's in there, but that's not a problem. So originally we went from that to that already. Already massive improvement. Boost the exposure a little bit to drop the shadows down. We want to keep extreme adjustments to the minimum. Increase vibrancy of the colors. Get those suit colors out here. I'm actually playing around. Boom. So we went from this shot, which honestly terrible photo, to this. And we'll slap a little bit of noise reduction, smooth things out. That's a little too much. A little too much. Boom. So again, now we're at a very improved go of it. Okay, just gonna whoop, edit him out. And then once again, we're gonna start by rising exposure and then increasing shadows. And we can actually drop that down just a little bit. So again, we're going to want to increase vibrancy, increase saturation, maybe ever so slightly kind of cool things off. There we go. Get a certified coyote. And we might just do a little bit of noise reduction. Because things happen super quick at a Furble, it's always easiest to run on a much higher shutter speed. Sometimes that isn't always an option, so that's a good shot. I'm gonna exclude that. This shot I'll keep because that shirt's mostly censored. I don't know why that dude was walking around in that shirt. Wasn't very appropriate for the meet, I don't think. So we want the detail in that black fur, so we're going to increase shadows. It's ever so slightly in there, so it's just boom. Family friendly now. Increase some of the highlights. So now all we should have to do is boost some colors, boost some saturation, drop the temperature down just enough. So that's what we went to. So now it's looking real nice. Quite a few of these shots were able to be fixed pretty easily. I'm going to say no to that shot. Oh, this was a cool suit. I like this one. Wish I'd gotten the suitor's name. Definitely want to boost shadows to get the fur. One thing I have become very good at is photographing dark fur suits. Purely because most of the fursuits I've photographed so far, because the Dallas photo shoot, late night photo shoot with a black fursuiter. Black fursuit, not fursuiter, black fursuit is always a fun experience. So we'll increase that. Increase that. So now we got these eyes super vibrant. And then maybe just temp it down just a little bit to make the white look more white. There we go. So originally, that side of the face had like no detail. And now it does. It's a cool shot. Maybe just a little bit of noise reduction. Lose some of that detail, but it's cleaner. This is a cool shot. I like it. Child was near crying though. I don't know if the child liked it. Increase contrast just a little bit. Boost those shadows to get some clothing detail. And then we will increase vibrancy. Increase saturation. Drop the temperature just a little bit. So all I really did is bring colors out more, especially on this badge. Blew out actually some of the colors on the badge. So let's switch to this. Let's try and figure out what I changed. Oh, saturation. Can I get you to be more gray? I just want more gray. Delete that. Start new brush here. No, it's not wanting to work for me. Okay, oh well. Not like anyone's watching anyways. Probably just change saturation down just a little bit. There we go. Still turns a little blue, but oh well. Here's the kid getting a photo. Parents are taking a photo. So here we're gonna wanna actually boost highlights a little bit. Increase shadows as well. Vibrancy. Saturation. I might not have to temp down too much. Just a little bit. Then look at the original now. Might be a little much on the vibrancy. That's actually, I think it's saturation that's a little too high. Yeah, so we can keep it vibrant, just a little less on the saturation. Suit was a little strongly oranged. Okay, that should be good. So now we're getting into trying to prep for the fursuit photo, which, God, that was a nightmare in of itself to take. And involved taking a lot of photos. Okay, and make things a little bit more vibrant. A little stronger on saturation, and then cool it. Oh, don't cool it off that much. Boom. So now things like this dark suit is in good color. Forest is in good color. Everything's just switching around on me. Little noisy. Maybe we can go in for some noise reduction without killing the shot. We lose some of that detail of the brick wall. It goes soft, but I don't think it's a problem. Let's zoom in and see what it looks like. Definitely goes a little softer on some of the fursuits. Oh well. Let's actually crop this a little bit, maybe. Actually, I don't think we have to. It looks like he's already on rule thirds. So I'm going to shadows increase a little bit. I'll boost the whites a little bit, blacks a little bit. Get some vibrancy going. Some saturation. That's a good shot. Let's see. Yeah, a little bit more exposure. Other than that's now overexposed, I would almost say. Looks like it's going to be overexposed no matter what. Clovis in the glasses there. Okay, so once again, I'm going to kind of zoom in here. This is what I'm trying to focus on improving, is this suitor. Step back, see the whole shot. Okay, zoom back in. Some vibrancy. A little bit of saturation. I might drop those highlights down. That brick wall is a little bright. Again, we want things to look natural, but colorful. Here, it honestly looks like we were in a dungeon for like most of this. Just check my phone here. Okay. So let's see. So one, we definitely want to boost shadows and highlights. We want the photo to feel brighter. And of course, doing vibrancy really helps that out a lot. Makes things look a lot nicer. I think kind of looks like we're in the dungeon. Now it looks like we're in a still not very well lit room, but there's a lot of color now into people's suits. And there's a lot of details recovered. Like if we look this person's suit now, you can now see a lot more detail in it. So once again, we're just gonna boost the shadows, boost the highlights, and then color. Maybe ever so slightly up the exposure. Lower highlight. highlights. Okay. So we went from, again, dark and dingy, lacking detail, to bright and mystical. The goal has been achieved, and there's Dow back there. So we're about halfway done almost. Only it's taken like, it's been about 2 hours of editing so far. Because I did like an hour last night for sleeping. I was going to try and get it all done, but whew, I was just too tired. So it was about a little more than an hour because I stopped the live stream early. So it was probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours last night. So we're at about 3 hours of photo editing. 'Tis the life of a photographer, I guess. So here's where we're starting to shift. So now our highlights need to start being killed. And our shadows need to be increased. And noise reduction. Get some color in there. And a little bit of vibrancy and cool it down. Might look overdone on any of these, yeah. It's really easy to overdo orange and blue fursuiters. Okay. You don't have much detail in your face. Is that purely because noise reduction? Yeah. Gotta have some on there. There's a little too much noise in the shots. Maybe about like that. We're gonna start getting rid of some of these. That shot can go. This one. Now we're back into having bad lighting. So boost the shadows. Highlights maybe not so strong. General exposure can get boosted just a little bit. Increase vibrancy to a good amount. Little bit of extra saturation. Now people's shoots are looking good. Nice and colorful. A lot of blue. Blue seems to be the most popular color I've found. Blue and red. So let's axe that one. Let's axe that one. So now we're on to here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to boost these shadows. Shadows just bring color to all that's dark. And then general exposure up a little bit. Highlights, because right here is being a big highlight area. So, and then just vibrancy, get the color into those suits. Amazing how that looks once you increase it. A little bit of saturation, but don't overdo it. Great group photo, really is. Can I crop him out? No. Oh well. I like it. Do you want to work normally, scroll wheel? So here I just zoomed in on people standing around. So first, shadows, we're going to have to boost those. All the way, apparently. And vibrancy. Saturation. compared to the original. Again, we're looking good. Maybe ever so slightly up on general exposure. Move on to this group again. We're going to max out the shadows. We can probably actually go up a little bit on highlights. And then vibrancy. And saturation a little bit. And then still like not super bright, so let's drop contrast down just a little bit. General exposure up. Still a pretty dark shot, but we come a long way. So let's see here. I think that's good because we came from barely like looking like a horrible photo to a good one, maybe a tiny bit of noise reduction. There's this group. So here, shadows are gonna have to come up. Which looks cool. Highlights, see? All white fur is basically going to be a highlight. So, then we're going to bring up vibrancy, make the colors look nice. And saturation. And it looks a little bit yellow, so we will. There. So I'm pretty sure. I can't quite tell. I think it's supposed to be a cream color on his suit, but I'm not quite sure. Lower the vibrancy. Color surge. I like that. Okay. So now we're on to the shot of Tude. And again, super dark. So we're just gonna bump up these shadows and general exposure. Might do a little bit more on the general exposure and a little bit less on the highlights so that we can keep more of the detail. Yeah, that looks a lot better. And then vibrancy, let's get some vibrant colors out in these suits. A little bit more saturation. So we went from this to this. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, I think that's good. I like that. Now we're into more of the middle group again. So we're gonna bump general exposure up, and then shadows up. That will bring out the clothing. And then vibrancy. And saturation. Group photos are pretty easy because all in all, I was shooting at pretty good conditions. I was able to actually lower the ISO for a little bit, but not too much. So we're gonna bump up general exposure, bump up shadows. I'm just gonna kill the highlights off the white fur real quick. And vibrancy. And then saturation. Nice little shot. And it is amazing how much my photography improves once I edit it. Exposure up, shadows up, highlights down because of the white fur, vibrancy up, and saturation up. Looks good. I like the camera in the shot. I got another shot coming up here eventually that I am excited to be able to work on. So we didn't really do much other than make it more colorful and bring out more detail. We got more of Roxy here. Increase shadows. Can increase general exposure too. And then vibrancy. Saturation. You're looking a little red. Reset. Okay, I guess I gotta back off vibrancy a little bit. Roxy was looking a little too red. Is that saturation that's doing that? Yeah, looks like it is. There must be some red light reflecting somewhere. Oh well. I want a little bit more vibrant color. There we go. No. Let's see if I can recover this one. This one. If I can do that, that would be impressive. 51 messages. And South Firs. Okay. So, first thing, we're gonna up exposure and up shadows. Always those two together. Try and get as much detail as I can. Then up contrast to make it look more natural. His eyes do not want to pop into shot. That's kind of annoying. Oh well. At least you can see his face now. Better for everyone else, though. Okay, so we're going to kill highlights a little bit. Increase the shadows. This dude was another photographer that was in our group. I've never seen so many dedicated photographers at a Furmeet. There's like 3 of us. So I wanted to get a shot of him. Because, you know, it's rare a photographer gets photographed. So I wanted to get him in shot. And they're all in shot. It's relatively sharp. It's a good photo. Not a fan. Not a fan. We got another example of a photographer. So we're actually going to kill the highlights and increase the shadows. Kill the highlights more. Vibrancy. Saturation. Temp down slightly. A lot less harsh now, a lot more detail. It's great. So here's the shot I'm super excited to be able to work on. I really want to be able to increase the shadows. Now I got detail in the camera. Just need to noise reduce that a little bit. And here, does the highlights affect that? So we're going to lower that. Maybe not so much, just a little bit. I want to be able to see the detail in this. Increase contrast or decrease? Increase a little bit. So yeah, that is, oh god, that is a beautiful shot. The only thing I'm going to do now is a little bit of vibrancy. A little bit of saturation. Who needs to take the shot when you can just take the shot of someone taking the shot? God, that is, it's just impressive. I'm happy with that shot. That is for sure. And I was able to bring out the detail in the camera too, which I was a little nervous about not being able to get the camera in there. But, and then here's the full group, which I wasn't a part of, sadly, because I was taking photos. Kill the highlights, increase the shadows. It was a really good turnout. Still no one. Yeah, it's always fun. Streams are a little bit of an impromptu thing that I want to try and start doing more of. Can I cool it down just a little bit? Yeah. Maybe ever so slight noise reduction. Where even is the focus? Maybe on them. Got Bolt. Got a lot of people not really paying attention. We got that person's got clocked in the head. Actually, it looks like this is where my focus is on Polaroid. Good shot. Now we're on to editing some of these. So here I'm going to select just a little bit of noise reduction, increase some shadows a little bit, get some fur detail out there. Color, we want vibrancy. And saturation, compare it to the originals. Things pop out a lot more. I'm not a fan of that photo. I think it's in focus. Let me boost shadows. Boost some exposure. I can lower the shadows. Lower some highlights too. Jeez. Okay. But increase saturation. Increase the vibrancy. Maybe not that much. Cool it down ever so slightly. I don't like that one, but I do like this one. So again, we're going to want to increase general exposure, decrease the highlights, increase shadows a little bit, increase vibrancy, increase saturation, tiniest bits of noise reduction. And then color, do we want to change temp? Little bit yellow. I wish I didn't have all this. I can crop that. So I want to lower the headroom so it's at a reasonable amount. Then let's continue on. Looks good. Okay. Okay. So here we can bump the exposure and bump shadows. Add some vibrancy. Saturation going. General noise reduction. See, this is the point where they like turned off like almost all the lights in here. So like that's why this shot is so dark. There's like no lights inside the bowling alley at this point. I like that shot. That one, got both his feet in there. So let us, again, general exposure up, shadows up. Maybe not that much. Actually have a bit of that background separated. We can increase highlights to bring emphasis to them. And saturation. Actually, saturation. Yeah, that's nice. Compared to what it was originally. And then the tiniest bits of noise reduction. Yep. Okay, cool. Then we're squishing Roxy now. And then we can take some of that yellow out. Might be a little too blue now. Just go full yellow. 50,000 degrees Kelvin. There we go. I think that's a good spot to be at. Okay. And now we have Kay and Roxy. So all I really think I need to do here is fix the coloring. Lighting was pretty good. Not much that really has to be done. Getting a little bit of that red neck problem again. Really not much that has to be done for these photos. I'm going to say no to that one. That one's out of focuses on the nose. That one I'll keep because I can do a little bit here. Highlights in the backgrounds, bring up the shadows a little bit. General exposure up. Vibrancy. Not 100, obviously. And then we can do shadows up, general exposure up, and then vibrancy, and a little bit of saturation, some minor noise reduction, a little bit more exposure. Cope and seethe. Okay. Let's say no to that. We got a few more photos here. So we can bring the highlights down. But boost the shadows. Boost vibrancy. A little bit on saturation. And then cool things down. Let's see here. I'm going to say no to that shot. No to that shot. We'll say yes to this one. I like this one. It's cute. Boost up the shadows a little bit. And then color. Get brighter color going on. A little bit of saturation. Cool things. Oh, not that much. We're way oversaturated. Still have colors that pop a little bit more than what they did originally. I'm gonna say no. No. Then I'll say yes to this because I can just drop the highlights. increase vibrancy, a little bit more saturation, cool things off a little bit, bump our shadows ever so slightly, and slap a little bit of noise reduction. And then we gotta have rending void, obviously. So we're going to drop the highlights and increase the shadows. Obviously, vibrancy, saturation, cool things down a little bit. Looks good. Maybe a little bit more on the shadows. And then we get a lot more detail now. So now let us go through all the photos. Look what we have selected. See how they look. Honestly, it's not my best work. Obviously, what I did for the Dow photo shoot was a lot better. But these Furmeets are such hard areas to photograph because you have constant inconsistent lighting. You have fast moving people that are running around, so if you want to take photos of them, you have to get them to stop, which is literally nearly impossible when they're all running around. But yeah, I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. I really like these shots. Okay. Definitely one thing I've noticed, I need to work more on shooting underexposed and be able to fix it later instead of trying to get the exposure correct. So I ran into a lot of problems where, I'm just gonna bump saturation up a little more, where I could have fixed it easily if I didn't try and I wouldn't have gotten such grainy images, but oh well. So what we can do now, we're going to go back out to this. We're going to Control A. We are going to export. File, export. JPEG full size, include watermark, edit. Leo Fox photography. Done. More options. All metadata, yeah. Full size, quality 100%. JPEG, yep. 91 photos, so we took. So yeah, that's photography for you. We took 359 photos, got it down to 129, then got it down more to 91 photos that I liked. So we are going to export these. Desktop. So it's going to be under One Touch. We're going to do new folder, Furmeet. We're going to do a new folder. Call that one Augmeet. And select that folder. And then it's going to run. See y'all back here next month for the next live stream. Thank y'all for